Now, higher interest rates have slowed down home sales. According to creditkarma.com, 67% said they would delay their plans to move until mortgage rates go down. Here's economist Anthony Chan on Fox Business.
I believe that the Federal Reserve did their last tightening in July, and they're probably not going to raise rates again. There's only a 15% probability, if you look at the futures market, that they'll raise rates again one more time by January of next year. And by the middle of the year, all expectations are that the Fed will cut rates, which will be beneficial for housing.
Now, many people getting ready to retire, they want to downsize their home, but that might not make sense if you end up upsizing your mortgage in the process. How do you talk through that decision with clients?
Well, when we're looking at the topic of when does downsizing make sense, I think, in today's environment, what you have is earlier this year, record high prices on real estate. I know I live in Waterville, Ohio, and just absolutely love the house that, we're in because of all the ways that we've customized the house, plus our neighbors. But, when you look at the value of what my house has gone up, I know I said to my wife a couple different times, maybe we go ahead and we just sell the house now. And, it's only a couple of years till our son is off to college. And then, we're in that same spot of downsizing. But when you look at it, the real estate world is kind of tricky out there. You've got to, really kind of navigate what's going on out there. But, when I'm thinking about things, one thing that you want to be careful about is not upsizing your mortgage in retirement time. So you've got to be careful as you move into retirement. If you are going to, switch houses, you may not necessarily want to take on a massive mortgage or a massive amount of debt. That could, create a financial strain and a financial burden on your other assets that are out there. So when I'm thinking about when does downsizing make sense, I think of a couple situations. I'm here this week filling in for Scott, and Scott, who is extremely busy right now during the Medicare season. He shared on the radio several different times about his mom's situation. His mom lives on a fairly big property with, barns and a pond and, an older house. And, with Scott's dad passing away, there's a lot of upkeep and maintenance that needs to be done on that property. Scott's situation could be a great time for mom to lock in, the great value. I'm sure that property and location would be an extremely desirable, here in Waterville, Ohio location for a younger couple who had the time, energy, money, and ability to keep up with the property. Mom could lock in the value of that property while rates are high, and ultimately could go into something that, was less maintenance, something where she could have a condo, maybe something where she could have some type of, ability to have some assisted living, have a better community. So that's number two, is community and social life. If I look at a lot of clients, in situations maybe where they have lost a loved one, I see a lot of times that spouse that has lost a loved one tends to stay at home and loses their social life. I think that's very dangerous. I think downsizing can make a lot of sense, and getting somebody back involved in the community or social life. There's a lot of great community living places for seniors today that have fantastic activities. I know Waterside is an example. I know several clients that live over there, and they have tremendous fun activities over the clubhouse. They do, all kinds of social activities in the summertime, and it's a way to keep people plugged in, keep people involved, and downsizing can give you some money and freedom to be able to kind of plug into that community atmosphere that we have. And there's some wonderful places that have that great community and social life. That's one of the reasons why I love my neighborhood. Again, I'm surrounded by neighbors that we have a great social life, great community together. Number three is you want to look at location. I recently met with a client, and I know in her situation, she lost her husband. She's 80 years young, and she ultimately wants to be closer to her family, which are down south, coming in and thinking about, what the changes are going to be with the weather here in Northwest Ohio. One, from a weather location standpoint, I get it. I understand that it would be nice to be somewhere that she doesn't have to worry about going out in the cold weather, slipping on the ice, and thinking about that. But she also likes the fact of having a location that is easy to drive to. You could have a smaller community. Driving around here in Toledo, Ohio can be dangerous on 475. You have a lot bigger traffic to deal with, and maybe you could in a smaller location, a smaller community. And having the ease and the family close by is another advantage of location. Number 4 is you can look at asset protection. So we had a situation where Betty and her husband was looking to go into a nursing home. And the challenge is when you look at a husband and wife in a nursing home and a health insurance situation and a Medicare, Medicaid spend down, a married couple can have a lot of their assets that they can lose in an asset spend down situation when one of the people goes into the nursing home. Yet through advice through an attorney who's an elder care attorney, there's some protected assets here in the state of Ohio. You could have a home, a car, a prepaid funeral, and a certain amount of assets and income every month. Well, Betty lived in an old neighborhood. Betty's house was an old house. There was most likely a lot of things that Betty was going to have to do to get her house to stay up to date and keep it current. You're thinking new furnace, new AC, new roof, other home repairs. Those could be costly things that were going to come up in the future. But because of the fact that a home is a protected asset for a married couple, we were able to talk to Betty about going out and getting a new home. And that new home had all the great amenities where she's not going to have to worry about the roof and the AC and, all those potential repairs that she could have had to make in her old house. And in this case, by taking and shifting money over into the new house, she was able to take money from the countable category to the uncountable in a Medicare nursing home asset protection plan as well. Number 5, accessibility. I have a lot of clients that I talk to that, maybe have their bedroom on the second floor, and, seniors and retirees maybe want to move to a place where they don't have to go up to the second floor, or if the laundry's in the basement, they don't want to have to go up and down the basement stairs. And number 6 is locking in gains. So I know some clients that recently talked to Dick and Sue. They had built up some significant equity in their house over the years. They sold their house and they were able to move over to a condo. So not only did they get away from that upkeep and maintenance that we had talked about earlier, they were able to lock in the gains, move into a condo, have a lot less responsibility as far as how things go in the future, make life a lot easier. So when you're looking at downsizing and looking at ways that make sense, it can make sense in those different situations. So, if this is an area that you need some financial guidance for, feel free to reach out to our office if you don't know, again, where to turn for real estate advice or a real estate agent. I know a lot of great people in town. Happy to make some introductions for you.
Because it's such a major decision to make, and it's something that a lot of people do entertain, possibly downsizing. But knowing, the costs that may come with it and the benefits, the pros and cons, before you do that, sit down and speak with someone like the team at America's Retirement Headquarters, see how it figures into your plan. 419-794-3030. You can also go to the website, schedule a time there as well, arhq.com.